Okay, so I'm Chris Silva, and I'm a marketing coordinator here at Abram Interstate. My specialties, I do a lot of the content production, I do the photos, videos, social media sharing. I help with SEO and I help with the blog. I kind of do a lot. And the other host is Joanna, and I'm going to pass it off to her.
Hi everybody, I'm Joanna O'Hanlon. I'm the marketing coordinator at Abram Interstate. I've been with the company for about 3.5 years now, and have been the resident blogger and longtime SEO specialist. And so we'll dive into what that all means. If those are foreign letters for you, don't worry. We're here to unpack it all for you. This is our expertise, and we're happy to share our knowledge with you. And what is SEO? So SEO is a term that floats around the marketing community a lot, just as many of you know that insurance terms float around within the insurance industry, and it sounds like jargon to other people that don't know. It stands for search engine optimization. What that means is that Google, Yahoo, Bing, all search engines, not just the big ones, they all have what's called algorithms that help them figure out what to put at the top when you search for something and what to put at the bottom, what to put everywhere in between. Search engine optimization is a way, many ways, that make up a way to influence those algorithms to help certain things float higher in the sea of information, because the internet is so vast and so wide. Search engine optimization is getting you up higher in searches, and it boils down to search engines. So anywhere that you would go to quote unquote Google it, whether that's Google or not. And it can be influenced by a lot of different factors. We won't go into everything, but just know, you may have already fielded calls from marketers in the past who are trying to sell you AdWords or ways to up your SEO that they can do for you. A lot of that is what we're going to call artificial growth. That's the marketing term for it. And then there's also organic growth. Artificial growth is paying someone to do something for you, either paying for what's called like a Google AdWord, where you essentially just pay to be higher up in that sea of information. Whereas organic growth takes longer, it is cheaper in the long haul, and it also gives you more longevity. Whenever you stop paying an agency that does artificial growth for you, then all of a sudden you think back to wherever you were when you first started in this sea of information. With organic growth, you're consistently viewing it as like, say that you're starting at the bottom of the ocean, and every little piece of organic growth gives you a little buoy that helps you float a little higher. And those buoys stay with you. Those are forever things. So that's kind of the generic surface area breakdown of organic growth and artificial growth for you.
Yeah, and Ozzy, we can see your questions, but for whatever reason in the chat box we can't respond to them with text, because I really can't explain why, but in any case, I can see your questions. So if you guys do have questions, we will address them. Don't fear, we can see everything. But yeah, so in any case, Joanna just touched on kind of what SEO is in a nutshell, and it's not anything that's set in concrete. I think you just gotta kind of keep an open mind as to what SEO is and can be for your agency. So our first trivia question is, what % of online searches are done through Google? Put your answer in the chat box, and we're going to give about 5 seconds or so, and take your best crack at it. If no one hits it on the nose, then we are going to give it to the next closest answer. All right, we got one guess at 80% so far. And anyone else? A few more seconds.
You've got it. 92, 70, 75, 95.
All right. So the answer is approximately 65% of all searches are done through Google, and that is followed distantly by the other big search engines, being Yahoo, sort of whatever you use. The rest of the search engines are going to only account for about 35% of the rest of the searches on the internet. Google being the elephant in the room when it comes to searches. So keep that in mind when you're figuring out if you're going to be buying ad space online or whatnot, that most people are using Google nowadays. So Abram, I was going to.
Go ahead.
So Abram Interstate offers a bunch of tools for upping your SEO, and I'm going to pass it off to Joanna to tell you what they are.
So we have created a while ago, a few months ago, we created some SEO, upping your SEO guides for you. And those are available on our website at this link that's on the slide right there. It's abraminterstate.com/SEO-guides. Those are going to be really helpful, literal step-by-step instructions of how to register your business with each individual search engine. And they go through the main three that we just talked about, Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And the reason that we even bother with the other two, the Bing and Yahoo ones, because obviously Google is the largest animal in this game. A lot of people have a search engine that's their default on their browser, and they just use that whenever. And many times that is a Bing or Yahoo one, and they never bother to change it. So we still want to make sure that you're within those realms too. And each individual search engine has a different way to register your business with it. That means that you're more likely to come up for literal business listings as they're searching for your business name, and it'll put you higher up in rankings for any other thing that has to do with your website or your business. And so, again, that's one of the things that influences those algorithms. So I won't go into the details on how you do that, but it is a free thing you can do this afternoon if you want to. And the step-by-step instructions, again, are in those guides. So I would encourage you heavily to go check those out, follow along, let us know if you have questions. But And yeah, I see some questions about that. Exactly. There's a lot of times where your information may be incorrect on the internet, and this is a way that you can correct that. So check out those guides. That's not going to be, it's a little bit more in detail than we want to get today, but those are already literally written out for you. So we appreciate you checking those out, and we hope it's helpful. And then in searching your own agency, you can do that. I mean, right now, as we're talking, I would advise you to, first of all, clear your search history, though, because that does influence how your results come up. So you go into your different search engines, and you clear your search history for that search engine. So, not search engine, sorry, your browser. So Yahoo, I'm all over myself. Firefox is going to have a different one than Chrome. Your different browser types have different histories. So I would clear all of those, and then you go and you search your name, your business name, or your personal name if that is your business name. See what's there. Sometimes you will find wrong information, and again, those guides help you know how to adjust that.
Yeah, and so the quick way to do that on Chrome is something called incognito mode. If you just hold down Control-Shift and press N, it'll bring up a new window that won't have any of your cookies, won't have anything saved, so that way you can kind of see an outsider's perspective of what they're seeing when they look for your business. And you really can't stress this big enough, especially for smaller agencies, independent shops. Going and seeing what other people are seeing, you want to see your customer's experience firsthand, so that way you know your strengths and weaknesses and how you can implement your SEO to play into the weaknesses to boost, you know, who and what is being said about your agency. So that leads us to our next trivia question, which is going to be, what are the 3 main places your customers may leave a review for your agency? Don't list them out one by one, just put, you know, 1 comma next, comma next. And this is somewhat of a trick question, being that
there's multiple answers.
Yeah, there's multiple answers, and so essentially this prize is going to be somewhat random, but take your best crack at it, and we'll figure out who's getting what.
All right, Terry Thompson, looks like you got it.
Oh boy.
The first one in there.
Yeah. And
a lot of you are on the right track, though. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Joanna, for some reason the chat is being wonky for me. Who won the first trivia question?
The first one, Ken Somali had 70%. That was the closest guess. Carol, you had 65 right on the dot, but it was right after we had said it. So.
Okay, so Ken.
That was Ken Somali, yeah.
Somali, and who got this one?
And then this one, Perry Thompson, hit it on the nose. Yelp, Google, and Facebook. And several others of you did get those same ones. You were just after the fact. You weren't first. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that leads us into our next slide that Joanna's going to touch on a few things. And
so this is one of the ways that is a huge thing that can affect your SEO. It's a huge way that you can affect that algorithm and give yourself lots of little buoys to help you float up higher, especially if you're in a town where not many insurance agents of your particular genre are having an online presence very strongly. So this is a really easy game to get to the head of sometimes. Sometimes it takes a lot longer because other people in your area, you live in LA, say, or something, you know, a large place where there's a lot of people already online. But reviews, each search engine, Google, Bing, Yahoo, they all rely on different reviews for their algorithm. On Google, a Google review may not be actually the most viewed thing that potential customers will see, but it's a huge way that all of a sudden, if you're in a small town in Northern California, say, and you only have 5 people who are even showing up with Google reviews that are insurance agents in your town, and you all of a sudden get, 4 or 5 reviews, that means incredible buoyancy for you in this sea of information, and it will float you directly to the top. So those are really powerful for that. The other places, Yelp is a big one because that's how Bing and Yahoo float you to the top higher with reviews. They give you review points, so to speak, for having Yelp reviews. And then Facebook is a way that both kind of factor into it, but especially for Google, they give you more little buoys also for Facebook reviews. And then the second side of why reviews are important and how to ask for reviews or how to respond to reviews, Chris is going to speak into that.
Yeah, so responding, the way that you respond to a review is going to speak volumes about how you run your business and how potential customers are going to see your resolution conflict skills. So essentially, I have 2 rules when it comes to responding to reviews. One of them is don't respond with emotion. Yes, you may know that a customer client is making up things just to make you look bad, or they're interpreting something wrong. Don't be emotional. I know it kind of goes without saying, but I know that we've all seen those reviews where the business owner goes on there and is like, that's not what happened. It's not the place to argue about it. It's not the place to respond with any kind of, aggression towards the client or customer. It really is going to be for when someone is looking for your business, and inevitably there's going to be negative reviews, and they're going to see those negative reviews. And if you respond to them in a gracious way and say, hey, I understand you had a problem, get a hold of us and we'll make it right. Because I see negative reviews, and if I see the business owner respond in a respectful, polite way, I'm more likely to use their business, just because I know if something goes wrong that they're going to help me out and they're not going to argue with me. So that's the first rule. The second rule is take all the reviews seriously. Again, this kind of goes back to the first rule. These are your customers, even if it's just someone that's going out and blasting you all over the internet. I mean, you have to take it seriously. Don't take it to heart, but definitely take all feedback that you get seriously and view it as opportunities to gain more customers. You can gain more customers by the way you react than the negative review ever would have given you anyways. So, moving on to the more technical side of SEO, and that's going to be creating content. And one of the first things that a lot of people, there's some confusion about this, I've read here and there online, is landing pages. Landing pages are essentially a page that when you're selling a specific product, or you have a certain idea, or you want your customer to do a certain thing, once your marketing has worked and they've clicked on your link, or they've responded to one of your mailers or something like that, you want to have a custom landing page, or even just a general landing page for them to go to that gives them specific instructions, so you can capture their information, so you can follow up on that lead. So a landing page is what's going to turn that customer who clicks on something, it's going to turn them into a solid lead where you have all of their information and you can follow up on their inquiry. So with that being said, I would go out and read a little bit about landing pages. You really want them to be super simple, really to the point, no flashy graphics or gimmicks, just kind of like the page you signed up for the SEO webinar on. That was a landing page that we created specifically to have people sign up for the SEO webinar. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Joanna, who's going to finish up on the rest of the content.
And now, blog content I want to capture it for you in a specific way. So a landing page, when you're looking at, if you go to abraminterstate.com and you're looking at our pages, we have several pages that have, buttons at the top. Some of those are going to be considered landing pages. They're the part of your site that shows. Another part, though, is all the ones that don't have buttons on our home screen or anywhere else. They're just ones that we create that, like Chris said, have a URL that we send out to you, just like the one that you signed up on for this. Now, a blog is going to be something that you have a link for, and it's going to be a continuous thing. But most websites are set up in a way that when you create a blog post, it shows in the feed, kind of like, a Facebook feed, where you see all the different posts, and you can tell that they're different posts, but they all run together on one page. But it also is going to create a landing page for that post, and that's going to be that post page. And every new landing page or blog post that you create is just another buoy to keep our language the same. And when you have those buoys, if you use specific content that is original and not just copied from somewhere else on the internet, and it has keywords about your business. So say you wanted to sell homeowners insurance, and you're writing a blog post about, hey, are you looking to buy a home? Here's some tips from an insurance standpoint to be thinking about. If you use the term homeowners insurance in that several times throughout in appropriate ways, not just copied 50 times in a row, that does nothing good for anybody. And the search engines are smart enough to see that. But if you use it in organic, new, original content that you're creating, all of the different search engines see that honor that and give you lots of bonus points for it. And so the more of those that you're able to create, the higher in that fee you get. And so it's a bit of a process. You're not going to jump to the front of the line overnight. You're not going to float to the top of the sea overnight. It's a building process. But the good news is once you've built those things, again, like I said at the very beginning, they don't go away. And then if you are blogging regularly, or if you don't have time to blog regularly, but you have time, say, once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, anything is better than nothing. And every time you do something like that and create some content, it's a good idea to share it on your social media as well. Now, each of the social medias that are really influential for the insurance industry are LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. You can choose to use those how you like, whether you use them a lot or not. It's up to you and what you have time for, what you have a presence for. But again, I encourage you to share any blog content you've created on those mediums. Since it's already created, why not get it out there further? And anytime you share it, that becomes a link that floats around the webverse, and that gives you kind of bonus points for SEO that helps you float higher. And then the other piece is with Facebook specifically, as I talked about, it does influence directly the algorithms of Google particularly. So even if you don't have time or you have no desire to have presence on Facebook on a regular basis, creating a snappy-looking Facebook business page that people can like and interact with if you're into that, and if not, but where also they can leave a review is going to be a huge thing. Because the other places you can get reviews like Yelp and Google, you don't have to do anything like that. As you Google yourself this afternoon, this evening, you might find that you already have potentially some negative reviews, because oftentimes first reviews are negative, unfortunately, on Yelp and Google, because you don't have to do anything to say that they can review on those places. But on Facebook, you do have to create your own page for them to be able to do that. And then you create a place where they can review you, and you can respond, and you can manage your business profile to show what hours you're open, what your location is, have a link to your website, all those things. So those are really helpful. And then just also in a way to be in touch with your customer base. We're a social society. We trust our friends' opinions, and this is one of the ways that we work now. This is not going away. Social media is here to stay. And so your presence on it, if you're not there, then it's going to be really hard for people to think about you or refer you to their friend who's looking for, I need an insurance agent near me for blah, blah, blah. That's the way that we often use social media as human beings, is asking our friends for referrals. So you'll want to have a presence there. And then there are lots of tools and plugins you can help you to manage all those things. We'd encourage you, we don't really have time to go into all of that today, but we'd encourage you to look at that and Google it again and do some research on what might be helpful for your business if you're really wanting to dive in and do this bit more seriously. If you're just looking for the basics, you don't need to do that right now. I would suggest creating a Facebook page for your business and managing the other places on the internet where your website appears and your business name appears. And that's kind of stuff that's all gone over in those SEO guides that we referenced earlier.
Yeah.
And then Chris, do you want to speak to the vendor content?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the tools and plugins is kind of like the next level stuff, as Joanna said. There's hundreds of millions. They're just like apps for your website, so like she said, go and Google around and see which ones have good reviews, because even for us, it's always changing. That's something that, is just always changing. And then as far as vendor content goes, just like with the tools and plugins and just like what Joanna was saying, I mean, we're really not trying to invent the wheel here. All the algorithms that place people high in the search and all of kind of like the secret stuff going on is, I mean, no one knows exactly what makes everything tick. So, like I said, you kind of follow the lead of whoever's doing, very well in that realm. So don't reinvent the wheel. And with vendor content, say carriers have a whole library of stuff that's available to you. You can come to us and say, hey, you know, for this specific product, do you have any content that I could use that I could put into my blog, or that I can kind of riff on and make my own flyers and like stuff like that? And the answer is yes. We do have a bunch of that stuff. The carriers have a bunch of that stuff. You know, it's kind of like farmers agents. Farmers gives them tons and tons of material to work with, already produced. For independent agencies, you know, I may not even have to say, but they have a ton of stuff. The carriers, you know, usually pass on a lot of stuff to you. So you can use all that stuff in your blogs, in your social media posts, unless it says, you know, don't share, this isn't for public use. Most of it is fair game. So with that being said, we're on to our last slide. Which is keep at it. And Joanna's going to take it from here.
And yeah, as we've been talking about this analogy of like being on the bottom of the ocean and having buoys, it's not an overnight thing. It is a long haul thing. But if you think of it like building muscle or writing a book, like if you plot away at it some at a time, you will get somewhere. And the best thing to know is that there are resources that are not too hard. And again, those step-by-step guides are great resources put together for you. But you can take control of what's already out there about your business. And if nothing is out there, then you can start to create some information out there that helps you be findable. We want it to be so that when people search insurance agent in, you know, Oroville, California, or wherever it is, we want you to know that you may pop up. Not just when they search for your agency's name, but when they're searching for the solution that you have to offer to their problem. We want you to be findable.
All right, so sorry, we just had a bell ring in our office, which means that we had some good business come through, so sorry for the pause. So in any case, there is no free lunch. I mean, just like with working out, you know, there is no shortcuts, you know. I mean, you might see South Beach diet, you might see all these, you know, crazy cleanses and stuff, and I mean, those are short-term solutions, whereas with SEO and anything doing with digital marketing, it's a generative thing. It just builds on itself and builds on itself until you're this huge snowball kind of plowing everyone else out of the way when it comes to search. So someone puts in, you know, XYZ agency in, you know, so-and-so California. You want to be that snowball that shows up at the top, and basically don't fall for any of the, you know, SEO snake oil salesmen that are going to come your way, because we get emails from them all the time, people claiming to be able to get you to the top of Google overnight. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It's not real. So really, there is no free lunch. It is work. And if you just throw 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day at it, I mean, it's really going to pay off in the future, because once you get up to the top of that pile, you're going to start showing up in neighboring cities and, you know, and maybe even nationally if your blog content's good enough, which will bring a lot more referrals your way. So with that, with that being said, we want to thank you for attending, and you know, sorry again about the late delay with our audio issues. If you have any questions right now, we'll take as long as we need, and we'll get them answered. So put them in the chat. I think Joanna's chat's working better than mine, so if you can keep an eye on that. And
Yep.
I think like every fifth message is coming through over here. Like I see some answers showing up, and you seem to be getting them all.
Yeah. All right. Any questions from anyone? Not seeing anything yet.
Yeah, let's give them a couple minutes, because sometimes they're going over their notes and typing them in. And then also too, if you guys, you know, have any questions later on, feel free to email either of us. You know, my email is Chris S, Chris, and then another S for Silva. Chris S at abraminterstate.com.
And mine is Joanna, JoAnnao at abraminterstate.com. And both of our email addresses can also be found on our website under our Contact Us tab.
Yeah, and if you're looking for any marketing collateral or anything, any, you know, snippets of text or things that we have from the carriers that you access through us, you know, just let us know what you need, and I'll do my best to try to find it for you.
All right, we've got our first question in here from John Morton.
Mm-hmm.
Asking, are you saying that it is not worth using an SEO company? And I think, John, for our purposes, what we're talking about, if you go back, I don't know if you were with us at the very beginning, we talked about artificial growth versus organic growth. And most SEO companies really are only going to provide you artificial growth, which can honestly do things to influence your standing on Google, Bing, and Yahoo and bring you up higher in that feed. However, as soon as you stop paying for that service, they're not going to usually leave you with much organic growth that you could do by either getting to a point where you hire a part-time marketing specialist or learn a little bit yourself, or, you know, hire an assistant that you can have research and learn those. It's not that hard to do on your own, and most SEO companies are pretty pricey if they're going to offer you that organic growth. So often if they are worth it in terms of what they're offering you, their price makes it not so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then also too, I'll add on to that. Yeah, I mean, my answer would be yes and no. I mean, you know, basically what Joanna said, most of them are going to kind of be what I call like the SEO snake oil salesman. You know, they'll provide you with a short-term, you know, paid version, and if you don't want to do it yourself, you know, you don't have time for that, and you just kind of want to pay someone to do it. Yeah, there definitely are options. I would definitely go with a local, look up local web design firms. They usually have some sort of SEO services. They'll provide you with quality content. They'll probably set you up a blog. They'll, you know, do that stuff. I mean, that's going to be, if you're going to pay anyone to do it, just go to Yelp, look up, you know, local web design or local, you know, digital marketing management companies, and usually you can keep them on some sort of retainer, and they'll do it for you.
Any other questions here?
I'm not seeing any over here. So I guess if there's...
I'm not seeing any other.
Yeah, I guess if there's not any other questions, we'll just end it here. And again, thanks for attending, and thanks for putting up with our little mishap in the beginning there. Hope you learned something, and again, email us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.